This is Don Wick from the Red River Farm Network. We're reporting agriculture's business, talking markets today with Tommy Grisafi from Advanced Trading, ATI ProMedia. First of all, Tommy, great to talk. A happy Thanksgiving to you and yours.
Happy Thanksgiving to you, Don. These are always fun to do, and it's fun to do during harvest when we have the bushels. This should be a good Thanksgiving for many people in the Red River Valley.
Yeah, and we've had this great stretch of weather where there's just a very little bit of crop that's still hanging out there. Some corn standing, maybe some sunflowers, but bushels are better than I think a lot of folks expected when they were going into this harvest season. The sugar beet crop's been phenomenal. We got a big beet payment coming our direction, so a lot of positive going into this holiday season for our farmers in this region.
Well,
Tommy,
hopefully,
I'm sorry,
go ahead.
Tommy. Holiday week, as you mentioned, but we still have these trades to talk about. Markets going to be shutting down for the holiday, but back at it on Friday. But a limited session, right?
Yeah, that's correct. So we will not open on Thanksgiving. Close today, normal time. Friday is December options expiration. That's a big deal. Options will expire at 12 on Friday. Hard open at 8:30. No overnight on Thursday night. So we come in, we open at 8:30. We'll have a little South American weather to digest, and then we'll move on from there. It should be an active open, and then could get quiet pretty quick unless we gravitated to one of the big strikes in the December options. In corn or beans or wheat. But when I say this, I more think about corn. It could happen in wheat. I do think you could see a little bit of fireworks in wheat on Friday.
We have seen that both corn and wheat are very much in the long position, where soybeans may be modestly short. What's that mean to us as we take a look at this trade?
Well, we watch the open interest, we watch the strikes. We know that the funds have done a wonderful job of shorting wheat, continuing to sell wheat. There's big carry in the markets. There's carry in corn. There's carry in wheat. There's carry in beans. Sometimes when the bean market gets rallying, we lose a little of that carry. One thing we have to talk about is that December versus March in the corn just hit new lows for that trade. So say that's trading at about minus 19 this morning, meaning that December corn is 19 cents cheaper than March. You're old enough to remember carries in the market. Of course, we've had a heck of a run the last 3 years of a bull market. We came out of those COVID lows. We've had inverses since then, meaning where Dece corn would be $5 and March corn would be $4.80, and the market would be absolutely demanding for you to give them their corn right now. We are in the opposite of that, a more traditional grain market. We are into carries, and we now have interest rates that are almost triple what they were 2 years ago.
What's happening in the other commodities? I see crude's down pretty significantly. What are you seeing in some of the outside markets?
Yeah, let's talk the fun stuff. Orange juice going crazy. It made new highs by double that it's ever traded. Cocoa 45-year highs. Can't sit here and tell you I'm an expert on orange juice and cocoa. I know if you mix cocoa with sugar, you have hot chocolate. That's always fun. We could talk about the hot chocolate trade. Sugar prices across the world at pretty elevated levels. Our friends up north will appreciate that. When it comes to crude oil, extreme volatility. OPEC was out on the tape at one point today. We noticed that crude oil was down $4. What's that mean? Multi-year lows, or at least recent lows. Gas in northern Indiana today was $2.90 a gallon. There is a big difference between the price of gas and crude oil. Diesel, not crude oil, but when you take crude oil and you crack it, you get heating oil and you get RBOB, and then from the heating oil you get all the distillates, your jet fuels and everything else. There's a noticeable difference when you go down the highway, Don, and you see where unleaded is and you see where diesel is. I'm not super qualified to say why that is, but I noticed that my friends who own trucking companies and farmers who have to buy a lot of diesel wish they were able to pay the gasoline price, my friend.
We're also seeing a little bit of life in this wheat market. That's been a dog for a while here. What's giving us a little pop?
And we had a little exports of wheat this morning. I noticed that came across tape. Of course, the funds are heavily short, so it would not surprise me to see wheat pop 50 cents or a dollar. From where it does that or what level will be interesting, but if and when the funds go to get out, and they always will get out at some point, maybe it's a bean-led rally or a corn-led rally, and then the funds exit wheat, we could have explosive upside to wheat. Not that wheat's in a bull market, but when a market drops hard enough, it can have explosive rallies on short covering those funds. They don't come in and buy 10 or 50 contracts. They start with 1,000 and finish for 10,000 contracts for the day. So watch out for the funds if they go to cover their wheat. Something to think about, Don, to add on to your question or comment, look at all the commodities that were up good on the year. Look at all the commodities that are down good on the year. Corn is down close to 30% on the year. There will be something called a rebalancing over the next few months. So commodities that had done poorly on the year may get a prop. Commodities that have done well may be sold off. Watch out for that rebalancing coming into the end of 2023 and the beginning of 24, my friend.
We always talk interest rates. It seems like they have settled down a little bit. Is that a correct assessment?
That is very correct. Just a few weeks ago, we were talking about a 10-year that was over 5%. This morning, the 10-year yield hit 4.35%, over 65, close to 70, 100s off the highs of just a few weeks ago. Not only have the 10-year yields come down, but yields across the world. The German Bund, which is the 10-year note in Germany, a large economic country and powerhouse financially, the German Bund hit 3-month lows today. Interest rates across the world are coming down, but they would still be elevated compared to how they were the last 10 to 15 years. Historically, they would seem low, but over the last 10 to 15 years, for anyone probably under 40 years old, this seems like really high interest rates.
Yeah, no doubt. Tommy, you and I both were in Kansas City last week for the National Association of Farm Broadcasting meeting. You were part of a panel discussion during that convention. Obviously, a lot to talk about this farm bill. We got a 1-year extension. The farm bill extended through the end of September of 2024. But they have an event called Trade Talk where a lot of the ag leaders are there. And I talked with a number of those groups, and everybody wants to get this farm bill done in the first or second quarter so we don't get bogged down by election year politics, which is coming up very, very fast when you take a look at what's happening on that front. Uh, Colin Peterson was also a part of one of our sessions there, the former House Ag Committee chair. He very did not see that happening. Basically, the big problem we have is all the ag groups also wanted to see a big increase in the reference prices, and there's no place that they can find to get that money. So until they get that money issue resolved, Colin wasn't talking about getting a farm bill done anytime soon. In fact, maybe needing a larger extension than just a 1-year extension. So a lot of dynamics happening still on Capitol Hill.
And with that, I understand our deficit, or the amount of money we owe, is going up at an alarming rate. So I guess my question back to you, Don, will our government have enough money to take care of farmers moving forward? We used to spend $750 billion on interest. We're now going to be up to about $1.5 billion spent on just interest payments. Not only did the interest go up on all Americans, the interest rates went up on the worst of our savers, the United States government, 33 trillion in debt with interest rates that have tripled. Stay tuned, my friend. I know you're just a guy to keep us aware and what's going on in DC, but I will pose that question. Let's make sure our farmers are still have the safety net so we can provide wonderful food, fuel, and fiber here, and very important and fitting as we come into Thanksgiving.
When you take a look at some of our recent history, and whether it was COVID related relief or relief related to trade action with China, the ERP program, Emergency Relief Program, there had been a lot of dollars infused, government dollars back to the farm. I'm not sure that's going to be available when we're fighting or looking at a couple of wars globally and supporting what's happening overseas, and just the economic situation we're facing. That might be a little tougher to come by.
Absolutely. And if any elected official starts to watch how land prices have traded around America, they may question, have we given farmers too much money? Now that may get some colorful feedback, but when land prices are trading $16,000-$17,000 in North Dakota, and those land prices had a 4 or 5 in front of them a few years ago, my question would be, where did that money come from? And of course, we know it's not evenly distributed across all ag. I am very well aware of that.
Agriculture Secretary Vilsack also was at the Farm Broadcasters meeting, and he talked specifically about that, about all the dollars. We had record income last year in 2022 in agriculture, U.S. agriculture, but that income was went basically to a small group of farmers, in Vilsack's words, and he wants to see more focus on small and medium-sized agriculture, some of the climate smart programs. So it's kind of a different approach that's coming out of this administration than what we may have seen before, where all the dollars really focus in on the bulk of production that we're used to. We're used to a cheap food policy here in the United States.
Dr. Earl Butts. Do you remember Dr. Earl Butts?
Yes, I do.
What do you know about Dr. Earl Butts, Mr. Wick?
Fence row to fence row. That was the approach we had from Dr. Butts.
Yeah, he was Purdue grad. He
Mm-hmm.
was involved in the great Russian grain robbery. I think he was part of that, and he was also fired abruptly for some comments he made on an airplane. So watch your P's and Q's. He was the godfather of fence post to fence post. So interesting times, my friend. But you and I will be continuing to do these once a week, and we will. 2024 is going to be an interesting year for commodities. I am certain of that.
I'll encourage folks to make sure that they're subscribing. How do they do that, Tommy?
Yeah, absolutely. Go to YouTube, subscribe to the Advanced Trading YouTube channel. Folks like Mr. Wick and others, we're putting out a lot of content out there. And in 2024, we'll be putting out a lot more content. Of course, be so kind to subscribe to Red River Farm Network. You can find them on YouTube and just go to their website. I love that. How can they get your Monday letter? They go to Red River Farm Network. And what is your Monday letter? Talk about that real quick. Let's do some selling, some Black Friday specials. How do
Good
people
deal.
get
We
a
have
hold of you for your Monday letter?
indeed, FarmNet News is the name of the newsletter. Goes out every Monday. It is a snapshot of what's happening in the world of agriculture. Pretty extensive, but it's written in small bites that you can consume it at your leisure. And all you have to do is go to our website, rrfn.com, and you can register there. It is a free newsletter, a free service for folks. So we sure encourage folks to sign up.
Don, happy Thanksgiving. Of all the interviews I do during the week, this is by far my favorite.
Good deal. You too, Tommy. Appreciate the chance to connect. Have a good Thanksgiving. Again, we're talking markets today. Tommy Grisafi with us from Advanced Trading, ATI, ProMedia.